You have all read and heard about eternal love, but we find few examples of it in life. Let's look into this topic to clarify and realize how such love can be achieved. Or is it impossible? Nature has laid in a person the instinct of reproduction, and it is often confused with the concept of love. Its most primitive manifestation is lust. Energy is accumulated in the sexual center of a person, and he wants sex. And even if people are not suitable for each other, they can have intimacy. In this case, the man just wants to get relief, and the woman thinks, as she was taught by our sick society, "We'll get along. A plain one and a heart of gold. It's time. We should have children." But as a result, it does not lead to anything good.
Hearing the words of the tutor, many women began to actively express their agreement, recognizing Lyria's rightness. Some of them had tears in their eyes. They remembered their sad experiences and regretted that they had suffered for a long time, living according to the programs indoctrinated by society.
But the sexual center is a much more subtle instrument, and it is not only for reproduction. At the moment of puberty, a person's creativity, desire for knowledge, and even religious ecstasy are awakened. Raising Kundalini and mastery of subtle energy is not the subject of today's lecture, so we will focus on such a manifestation of this center as passion or love. With this great feeling, the sexual center signals that one has found the right partner. The sexual center can better discern what is needed for us, what type is right for us. But such an infallible determination can only be made by primitive peoples, completely devoid of lies, or by people who know each other well. In our habitual society, people wear masks, and so a person can be deceived. A person has an indoctrinated image of what their chosen one should be like. For example, they should be unmarried, not be a relative, belong to the same caste, behave in a certain way. Often, even jealousy of a friend makes a woman feel a semblance of a passion. But when people get closer and get to know each other, the passion disappears because it was false. Sometimes a man, in order to seize a woman, imitates passion, gives bouquets, reads someone else's poems, trying to deceive her, to use her. But should she ask him for an expensive gift, and he immediately begins to humor her, lying to her, saying that he has just gone bankrupt or that he's in favor of clean relationships, hiding his stinginess behind these lies.
Alice remembered how Arthur, a poor student, had sold the last of his money to buy her jewelry. And she looked at him expressively with a sense of feminine pride. Once again, she was convinced that she was not wrong about him. She felt grateful to Lyria, who had told her that she should choose the partner herself, not wait for a man to choose her. Her feminine intuition had not failed her, and earlier, when she had expected masculine behavior from those who paid attention to her, nothing good had come of it. She forced herself to tolerate those who approached her first, thinking that she didn't understand something, that she would feel for them later.
Sometimes a woman deceives a man too. For example, at the beginning of a relationship, she shows herself very brightly, but when she thinks she has already captured his heart, she relaxes and walks around the house in curlers, old robes, no makeup, causing him only rejection. And it ruins their relationship. Passion and youthful love are very important. They rejuvenate the organism. A person blossoms. Creativity and even superpowers appear in a person. Contact with God arises. That is why one should try to be in this state as much as possible. not to calm down. And even if there is no partner, one should find an ideal for oneself in order to stay in this divine state. And if you have found a worthy partner, you should not try to get married sooner and start a family life with them. You should not let the passion and flight of love slip into depression, jealousy, or other forms of suffering because of the patterns and stereotypes of society. For example, the desire to be like everyone else. Love should be given a religious connotation, elevated, made idealistic. For example, not aimed at selfishness and possessiveness, but at serving one's ideal.
Lyria, please tell me, is it true that living together and keeping house together kills the passion in a relationship?
Yes, that's right. Passion is an energy field between two poles. If the distance between people is completely removed, the field will immediately discharge. And if there is a distance between them, the attraction of sexes will increase. This is how ancient people lived. They had male and female parts of their dwellings, even poor people, and they tried not to contact each other for nothing, to be at a distance. It helped to keep the passion alive. Even girls and boys studied and lived separately, for constant household contact makes relationships mundane and their fire dies out. It is not for nothing that there is a saying, with good friends, meet less often. In order to keep the novelty and brightness of the meeting, people should prepare for it, be filled with positive impressions, so that such a meeting was a real holiday.
Alice thought,
Arthur travels a lot. He has a business. I need to find something where I'll be filled with new impressions, so that I will have something to share when we're together. I will help the school more in creating a field of love, so that I will have something to tell Arthur when we meet.
But whatever passion is, it also has its time. And this is related to the physiology of reproduction. In a man, it can pass quickly because his natural task is to fertilize more females. In a woman, passion lasts longer, but it also has a limit because she needs a man while she carries and nurtures the child. But after a few years, the passion can pass, and people often stay with each other because of social templates. It's necessary to preserve the family, to live together for the sake of children. It's already old age. It's too late to change anything. But this all indicates that between them there is no real love, which exists in the emotional center and does not depend on sex. Even deeply old people can feel sympathy and deep affection for each other. This is what eternal love is, as it persists even in the world of the dead and passes into the next birth. Of course, often people do not immediately meet each other in the next incarnation. It may happen already in a mature age, but there is a former feeling between them at once. Such a feeling is a valuable gift. It arises only in people with a big heart, in kind, responsive, cheerful people. In a dry, stale egoist filled with negativity, it is unlikely to arise, and people must be like-minded to have such love.
Alice looked at Arthur with warmth and thought,
It's so good that we met in Lyria's class and have the same worldview. And now that we're developing together, it's even more solid.
In general, when people start living with each other, the emotional center takes over, and they start acting on it. There's also an expression. They didn't get along with each other. If people have constant squabbles and quarrels, fights, jealous scenes, it means that their emotional centers are not suitable for each other. They need to separate from each other, not to torment themselves. There is no need to turn your life into hell and deprive yourself of the opportunity to find true love. One should also remember that love is not subject to social patterns, which can change over time. and be different from one nation to another. For example, in the East, polygamy is the order of the day, and a man can love several of his women equally. A man could be very temperamental and prone to casual liaisons, but that doesn't mean he can't love. Often, he only treats one woman seriously and just spends time with others, and you should not make him scandalous or remake him to please the templates of society. You must accept his nature if he suits you in every way and shows the stability of his love for you. Rarely, but sometimes such things happen in women. Therefore, it is necessary to remember that true love is not connected with sex, and he will have more women.
Alice thought, looking at Arthur, could she accept that he would have more women? Somewhere in the back of her mind, the answer was yes, because she felt that he was her ideal partner, and she would never want to part with him. But the other part of her, infected with the pattern, protested. How can it be so? In such cases, it is necessary to arrange a fight, hysterics, as she saw in her parents and in the movies, try to change Arthur by any means, or break up. Just thinking about it made her feel sick, tears streaming down her cheeks. "What's the matter, my love?"
It's all right. I was just thinking about bad things.
She immediately realized that this pattern was created to cripple people's lives, to torment them, even when nothing was happening. 90% of all suffering arises when a person starts to tense himself up, thinking about what will happen if he falls out of love, cheats, finds someone else, leaves me. The girl realized that it is necessary to eradicate this poisonous pattern of life. And do not let play out a sick imagination created by devils to feed on the energy of suffering people. Alice clearly realized that all evil, all human suffering lies in the existence of this template. People torture themselves to conform to the imposed standards, push their children, loved ones, relatives, and acquaintances into this Procrustean bed, making them suffer too. Only the devil could invent such a cunning way of suffering. When a person tries to mutilate himself to meet the next demands of society, and mutilates others, his own loved ones, thinking that he is doing a good deed, swaddling a child when he wants to move, feeding him, depriving him of health when his body resists it, breaking the natural rhythm of his being, putting him to bed when he does not want it, depriving him of walks, love, and communication with his peers, in favor of school cramming. Parents make the child suffer so that he strives to get an unneeded A, instead of teaching him to enjoy life and do what he has a calling, a talent from God. And so, from childhood grows up a little cripple, living an unnatural life, tormented and not understanding where this torment comes from, why he has such a difficult life. And all because he is a slave, living not with what is given to him from God, but with the imposed programs of a sick society. And until he is free from this marasmus, from orientation to patterns and stereotypes, he will never be happy. And it is impossible to break free without spiritual development. After the lecture, when Arthur and Alice went outside, the girl confessed to her lover.
I understood why my father became an alcoholic, and my mother is always depressed and drinks neuroleptics. It was the social matrix that ruined them. My father wanted to be a painter and my mother a ballerina, but they were told that it was not serious, that they should work in a factory, and there was never any love between them. They just happened to meet one day, had a drink, gave in to physical desire, and the mother got pregnant. She was very much in love with another man, and the father with another woman, but they were told that they should get married because they would have a child. So they live like that, two unhappy people pouring vodka and handfuls of pills on their grief.
Yes. I wanted to get drunk as a pig too when I was preparing for the session, because it was very hard for me. I didn't want to do it. I saw the uselessness of such cramming. I wanted to drunkenly go to the university and say everything to the rector's face, but I realized that it wouldn't solve the problem.
Yes, drunkenness, drug addiction, paranoia. These are the reactions of people who feel that they are being made slaves. They are looking for a way out of this slavery, but not where it really is.
In our extreme times, when the fate of the entire planet is at stake, it is crucial for the knowledge of angels and benevolent spirits to spread as quickly as possible, globally, and reach thousands of people. In this way, we can change the future of all humanity. Which is why we are addressing you, dear soul of light. Spread the knowledge about our wise books and films. Share links to videos or cartoons. All of this is available and free. Invite women to individual practices, webinars, and seminars. And the Great Spirit of Light will help you and your family. It will direct an enormous amount of energy to fulfill all your desires. Benevolent spirits and angels will assist you and your loved ones in all matters. A thread of light and love extends from your heart to the hearts of thirsty women, and the creation of good and the dissemination of enlightened knowledge throughout the world begins. Become part of the mission of light. Help people, and God will help you.